contact with New Zealand, and that was it. He never spoke about it.
Willie is discovering a reoccurring theme.
Was it because they felt that we didn't want to know? That we weren't interested? Is that why the Coast Watchers, like my grandfather, never really spoke of it? Not to us anyway. Could have been tied up in humility. I don't know. Either way, I wish they had spoken more about their experiences before they passed.
I think our collective memory of the war has worked in a way to make it visible and make it very difficult to see the contribution of white people. And in the Pacific War especially, those people have been deliberately omitted from many stories. So in the official history of New Zealand's war efforts, for one, the Pacific War is minimised. There's literally, I think, just one volume on the Pacific War. But within that, the Coast Watcher story occupies almost nothing, and then a single chapter in an additional book.
Military historian Dr. Stephen Clark agrees that the native wireless operators have been largely disregarded in official records.
The so-called native wireless operators were doing the work that was required by the authorities, where they couldn't put a New Zealand wireless operator there in terms of spread too far. And the focus was always more about the New Zealand wireless operator. And so they did get overlooked. They did get overlooked in the record in terms of what you can find at Archives New Zealand.
The Coast Watchers, both Pacifica and Kiwi, were in place for one reason and one reason only: to provide military intelligence. It was about as dangerous as it gets. If they were caught by the Japanese, execution was all but guaranteed. One of the most shocking episodes of the Pacific War occurred on the island of Tarawa in Kiribati. In 1942, invading Japanese captured and ritually executed 5 civilians and 17 Kiwi Coast Watchers. Amon Salisa said all of the Coast Watchers were in danger.
Through the progress of the war, it was discovered, and it was probably known to many leaders, that they had taken an enormous risk with these Coast Watchers' lives, because they had signed on to all sorts of instruments and agreements about war that said civilians would not conduct military activity. Now, what most of the Coast Watchers were in 1941 and 1942 was civilians conducting military activity. And the native wireless operators were at particular risk because they also got neither protection, not as a New Zealand civilian and not as a New Zealand military member.
Willie has gone about as far as he can with research here in New Zealand, so we have the privilege of accompanying him to his other home, Rarotonga, as he tries to find out if the brave service of Coast Watchers is remembered there.
For those of us from here, this coast, these ancestral mountains, it's hard to explain, but we all feel it. We all move at our own speed. Our present, our past, are one. Those who went before us are a living part of us. We feel them. And I very much feel the weight of responsibility of making sure our wartime Cook Islands Defence Force and the Coast Watchers are properly acknowledged. I also want to know from my community here whether I have their full support in fulfilling them.
One man who is fighting for recognition is the president of the Cook Islands RSA. Willie's keen to learn more about the skills training operators like his grandfather would have had. He visits Henry Wichman at the RSA, and together they examine the Wall of Honour.
So that's my grandmother over there, that's commented? Yep. And my great-grandfather, he's down on this wall over here.
2 of Willie's elders from World War I are on the wall, but not his grandfather who served in World War II.
One of the things I remember about my grandfather is that he could take apart and put together radios. How hard would it have been for them to keep their radios going and maintain them? In this weather, it would have been almost a day-to-day process. One of the things that they had to worry about was the salt spray, the moisture in the air. They had to make sure that everything was nice and dry. But you just had to know how to work it, and if it broke down, what are some of the things that you could do? So were these guys keeping watch of the ocean and the air as well? If they were alone, then they're looking at, so they're doing both things. But they wouldn't come up until they had radio skids. But then again, if they saw something that was important, then they would have broken what was called radio silence, come up with a code or something, send the message that they had, and then close down. How dangerous is it when they break radio silence? If a morph operator went onto the air too long, they could use direction finding equipment to sort of zero in on where this person was, and they could shell them or send an aircraft over, or even send a patrol to that location. So ghost watching is risky business across the board. Very risky business. For the native wireless operators like my grandfather, English wasn't their first language. They would often use their native tongue to help disguise their radio messages. Suddenly, indigenous languages had become useful to the New Zealand administration. How valuable for our operators was it for them to have their mother tongue, their indigenous language? I'd say it was very important to have to sort of transmit in their mother tongue. Firstly, they could get the message across a lot quicker, and if they wanted to send a message in Cook Island Maori, the operator at the other end would understand what it is. The base operator would understand what was going on. He would translate in English, pass it on to the New Zealand operators that were in the base camp.
William Cuthers, Willie's granddad, was stationed as a 16-year-old on the tiny atoll of Mitiaro in late 1941. His job was to scan the horizon for Japanese warships and planes and report back to New Zealand. Fear was a constant companion. All day, every day, news was filtering in of a brutal Japanese invasion. Isolation, boredom, ill health, hunger. This was the life of the native coast watcher. At least 40 young men were given this responsibility in the Cook Islands alone, along with hundreds of other Indigenous men throughout the Pacific. Ramon Salisa.
They were all young, so they had to have all sorts of skills which were unusual amongst people in the Pacific at the time, because throughout the Pacific there was very limited access to higher education, meaning high school. They would have had to have access to educational opportunities that were rare and were deliberately designed to be rare by colonial governments.
That deliberate discrimination, I'm discovering it wasn't just over educational opportunities. It was also about pay rates. Official records show native operators were paid only a fraction of their Kiwi counterparts. But these so-called assistants weren't assistants at all. They're often sole operators in some of the most trying and isolated stations in the network.
Ramon Salisa explains that the consequences of this discrimination endured far beyond the end of war.
They didn't get paid the same, they didn't have the same rights. When they went back to their hometowns, they were not entitled to the same things as European soldiers were. And after the war, the same thing continues. So if you acknowledge that the contribution of native wireless operators was the same, which it very clearly was, then you would have to pay them retirement benefits. You would have to have given them medals. You would have had to done all the things that were done for people who did the same task, but just happened to be Europeans.
Being here on the lagoon in Ararangi, I can't help but think about New Zealand's relationship with the Pacific. Our people are proud of the contribution they made to defending New Zealand. But how many Kiwis are even aware of it? It's always made the Anzac story very difficult for me.
As Willie reconnects with his land, his ocean, and his whānau, the deep hurt of these injustices resurfaces.
I've always resented Anzac, if I'm being honest, because wasn't part of NZ. I don't care about me, but I think it's just important. If I can step us into NZ, then my kids, they're young, so it's their NZ. Because I don't think it'll ever be my NZ. No. Yeah, because I'm old now, but they're young, so it's something that they've been around with what's happening now. But for me, time's past.
Alonso Lisa understands the emotional impact.
So when people are confronted with a history that seems to be deliberately not acknowledging and including their ancestors, their nafa, their whakapapa, and of course we get these very powerful responses. We would see exactly the same in Pākehā people if they felt history's treated them in this way.
Historian Stephen Clark agrees.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. When you see that your family's service is not being recognised on this national commemoration, it does leave you with a sense, I'm sure, a sense of emptiness, and that being a part of the New Zealand family of remembrance.
Next, Willie visits his auntie and cousin to learn more about another family member who was also a native wireless operator, Pera Maurangi. This is Pera's
Hello, Elele. Apologies, we don't have news for our listeners in the Kingdom of Tonga today, but we should be back with Malika tomorrow. Malone Soitua, Talo Palava. From RNZ International.
Here's a little story you're sure to like it. With some fly and a planet cold